You see how much nicer this decoration makes the wall look? That has nothing to do with Python decorators. Yeah, I don't know why I brought that up. Let's talk about Python decorators. To understand decorators in Python, we first need to know what closures are. If you haven't watched my video on closure, please click up here, watch that one, and then come back here. Alright, let's start with a simple example. Let's say I have a function called argsquarks. So this function just says, can I eat your cookie? And imagine this is just a kid asking for a cookie from somebody else. So your mom overhears this and she's like, well, you need to first say hi to people, and then if you want to ask for their cookie, maybe they're more willing to work with you on that. So let's work on that. If I just call this function right now, as you see, simple enough, I'm just printing out, can I eat your cookie? So my goal is to first say hi, and maybe at the end I'll say bye also, to have a proper conversation with the other kids. So let's take a look at this closure function. So this is a function that our aim is to do a proper talk as opposed to just like, barge in and ask for something. So let's walk through this. This function takes another function as an argument and then creates a function inside it, calls that function that it took, and returns this whole thing. So this new function is returning this whole function definition. Right now it's really not doing anything special with this function. So let's just see how this would work. So if I use this talk with ask for cookie that I have up here. So let's walk through this again to make sure we understand this. So ask for cookie is this whole function. So I'm passing that whole function here. So func right now is ask for cookie. And then new func is calling the ask for cookie function. And then I'm returning this whole thing. So right now, this shouldn't really return anything because I'm not calling it. This is equivalent to the new function. So if I call it, this is being called. So if I call it, nothing happens. So if I add a parenthesis here, that's a function call. So again, I see add your cookie. But what you're probably more used to seeing is to assign this to a variable and then call that variable. So if I call that variable, I see, can I eat your cookie? All right, so now how can I benefit from this? So up here, I could say hi, and then let's say at the end of the conversation with the other kid, I want to say bye. Now, if I call this again, now I'm having a proper conversation. I'm saying hi, can I eat your cookie? And then, I either get it or not, and then I say bye. The beauty of this is I just applied this to the ask for cookie function, but if I have, 1,000 other functions that say other things, I can change them to a proper conversation by just going through this same scenario. Let's take a look at another example. So let's say I have another function called how are you? So if I just call this how are you function, as you expect, I just see how are you. So now I want to add this hi and bye to the beginning and end. So we do the same thing. So we pass this function to talk and we call it. We could also assign it to a variable and call that variable. But now we see hi, how are you, and bye. So this is basically the idea of decorators. Now, what you are probably used to see is to use an @ sign instead of passing it through another function. So keep this one in mind. Now let's take a look at the more common way of adding a decorator. So we can go up to the function that we are interested in and just add this method. And the method needs to be defined first, then we can use it. So if I get rid of all of this and now call how are you directly, Now I see that proper conversation, even though I didn't really need to make these changes here. Same thing for ask for cookie. So if I bring ask for cookie down, so let's comment all of this out. So if I just add this decorator up here, that's really all I need to do. So if I call ask for cookie, the conversation again is proper. Hi, can I ask for your cookie, and bye. So you kind of get the idea that just by defining this one decorator, I can apply this to however many functions I have and make some sort of change to those functions. Basically, I'm taking those functions, doing something with them, and outputting a new function that does the things that the original function did plus some other stuff. So one last thing that I want to go over is a case where you have arguments also. So let's take a look at, so let's keep this one here, but also add another one. So let's say in this conversation, I want to ask a person, do you know, John, do you know Alex, something like that. So right now, if I try to decorate this, let's first check the error that we're going to get. So right now, this function has a argument, but talk takes this function and really doesn't allow us to pass any arguments anywhere. So let's first try to run it to see the error that I'm talking about. So I want to say, do you know John? So it says new func takes 0 positional arguments, but 1 was given. So this new func here doesn't accept any arguments. But the problem is for the previous functions, we didn't have any arguments. So if I assign an argument here, then it will break the previous functions that I had. So if you remember, we can use args and quarks. And if you haven't watched that video, please again, click up here, watch that video. It will go into more detail of how we use args and quarks. So all I need to do is to have args and quarks, which allow me to pass any number of arguments or arguments with keywords. And I can also add this here. So now if I run the same thing, then, hi, do you know John? Bye is fine. And also if I use the functions that didn't have any arguments, hi, can I ask for your cookie? Bye. They're all now functioning fine with or without arguments. So that's basically the idea of decorators in a nutshell. They are very powerful for cases when your code base is growing and you want to make a change to a large number of functions and you don't want to rewrite so much code. This is very useful for unit testing when you need to do some setup and do some teardowns, and you want to apply that to all of your unit tests. So imagine this print hi is your setup when you mock a bunch of objects that you need to use for that unit test. Then you actually run that unit test, and then at the end you want to tear down, you want to do some cleanups to prepare stuff for the next unit test or something like that. So I hope that cleared out what decorators are used for and how we use them in Python. And yeah, please let me know if you have any questions. I'll see you soon.